Well, hey fans, welcome back to another movie review, and today we're talking about Mickey 17. So Mickey 17 is a sci-fi black comedy written, directed, and produced by Bong Joon Ho. It's based off of the novel Mickey 7. It stars Robert Pattinson, Yeun, Naomi Ackie, Toni Collette, Mark Ruffalo, and many other names. And it follows this guy named Mickey. He gets into some trouble, him and his friend, with the mob. So the only way that they can escape and survive is to go off-world. They join this crew where Mickey doesn't really have a lot of skills, so he joins as an expendable, which is someone who goes on dangerous missions for the betterment of the crew. And on those missions, if he dies, they will just print another version of him to do another one of those missions. And the story culminates in one mission that he goes on where he is presumed dead and somehow manages to survive. And when he returns to his room, he finds out that they've already printed another copy of him. And now that there are two of them, one of them has to die because having two versions of yourself is actually illegal at this time. So this was one of my most anticipated features of the year. I really like what Bong Joon Ho did with Parasite, and I enjoy Robert Pattinson's acting. I thought the story sounded interesting to me. I'm a big fan of sci-fi, and I just kind of wanted to know what this movie would actually be. I did not read the novel. My cousin actually did, and he really enjoyed it. So I just kind of want to know exactly what's the story going to play out? What are the sci-fi elements besides cloning? Are there aliens? All that stuff involved. And it is a lot more basic of a plot than you think. Like, yes, there's the whole cloning a new version of yourself, but really it is a story about this guy who's just been down on his luck his entire life. And each version of himself that they print is slightly different. And when it's a perfect clone, that really doesn't make sense, although it is kind of explained in the movie through a series of mishaps. The way this crew operates when they're printing out his new body, they're not exactly paying attention. There's someone who trips over a wire that disconnects a cord. One time he's printed out and they're not even prepared for it. So there's all these reasons why certain personalities kind of peak in certain clones. And you see that on fully when you got Mickey 17 and Mickey 18 together in this movie. Mickey 18 is just a lot more rash and harsh and angry, whereas Mickey 17, he's a lot closer to, the Mickey 1 that we got at the beginning, although they do hint at other Mickeys being a lot more emotional or sad or a lot more annoying, stuff like that. I think Robert Pattinson does great. He's doing like this weird accent, and I think I saw an interview where he says he hates doing his normal speaking voice when doing a role. He would prefer to do accents, test his acting ability. And I think it's fun. It does sound a little crazy, like some kind of New York type accent, but I guess since this movie takes place in the future, he kind of throws in like some kind of twang to it as well, just to make the dialect a little bit different. But I think overall him acting against himself was pretty enjoyable to see. Naomi Ackie is fine in her role, and she's Mickey's girlfriend, and I feel like they don't really give her a lot to do except for toward the end, and even then it's not really that much. Yeun as well. The fact that he's Mickey's best friend, his character in this movie, doesn't make sense. Like, that guy, when you see all the things that he does from the beginning to the end of the movie, that's not someone I would consider a friend. More like an acquaintance. And I guess his life is so much in the shitter that he thinks this is what a true friend is. But it's just not somebody that I would call a friend. But it is kind of, I wish his part or his role was a little bigger. I wish we got to know that character a lot more. And then maybe we could have understood. Like, if we saw flashbacks of him and his friend in their youth and they explain why they are so connected, that would make a little sense other than him telling people that this is his friend. Mark Ruffalo and Toni Collette, they play like the leaders of the expedition. They're husband and wife. Mark Ruffalo's a failed politician named like Kenneth Marshall, and you got his wife Eve, who's like obsessed with sauce. It's really weird how obsessed with sauce she is. But back to Mark Ruffalo, you can tell whoever the other producers on this film were, they were really banking on Donald Trump losing the presidency, that at this time now we know that he won, he's in office, because you got Mark Ruffalo. The character he plays is clearly an allegory for Trump, especially towards like once you get like a third into the movie, that's all his character basically becomes. The way he speaks, the way he looks at people, is all these Trumpisms. The fact that all of his followers wear like these red hats is like, I don't know why they went so heavy-handed with it. Like, all movies they always toss in political messages about certain things, but they went really heavy-handed on this impersonation. I just don't think they needed to do that. It was funny for a little bit, but then once you kind of realize what they're doing, you're like, And even if he had lost, I don't know that that would have necessarily made the movie better. Like I said, it would have been funny for a scene or two, but it goes on way too long, and I didn't care for it personally. But it does show Mark Ruffalo. He's been in like the Avengers movies for so long. People forget that he's a really great actor. Mark Ruffalo can act his ass off. I think he was in that awful movie with Emma Stone, Poor Things. But he was acting very good in it, even though I hated that movie. But yeah, so did I enjoy his role? A little bit. The shit got old fast. The story actually does involve aliens at a certain point when they get to this planet Niflheim. It's like a very cold, snowy planet. They run into these giant walrus, roly-poly tardigrade type things, and they end up capturing two of the babies. One of the babies dies, and then there's like one adult, it seems like, that's kind of in charge of all of them and is like threatening the lives of everybody on the ship. That storyline, and then in the fact they figured out a way to communicate with these things, I don't know that I liked. I don't know that I liked bringing in the alien aspect of this movie. I think it should have just been a story about a guy who ends up living at the same time as his clone and them trying to figure out how to not get caught. I like that storyline a lot better, especially in the fact with Mickey. They talk about on this ship, like, you kind of get to know people and you kind of stick with your person throughout. There's this one girl who is alluded to being bisexual. She kind of has a crush on Mickey, but she has a girlfriend at the same time. So when her girlfriend dies, she feels that, hey, Mickey is open and she can like throw herself at him. And at the same time, like, Mickey is cloned and she doesn't know that. So there starts this scene where her and Naomi Akkie's character are like, all right, you can get this Mickey, I can get this Mickey. Although they're both mine, I don't want them to die, so I will let you have one. And by the way, speaking of the whole why clones are illegal, it is explained very briefly that one of the scientists who helped create the technology to create the clones, like him and his clones, like started killing people, and they didn't quite know who to charge, who was actually doing the killing, and who, like, it was a whole thing about it. So that's why they made having duplicates illegal or whatever. But there's like a whole storyline with like Mickey possibly dating this other girl at one point, and that's just kind of thrown away very quickly once they find out there's two of them. So like, I wish they kind of stuck with that part of the story versus going with those aliens. And the title, Mickey 17, I think they could have just stuck with Mickey 7. Like, Mickey, I want to say 8 through 16 all die from the same testing of this like vaccine. Like, when they get to the planet in the beginning, it is not suitable for humans because there's like a pathogen in the air, so they have to create a vaccine for it. So many Mickeys die until they create like a good vaccine so humans can survive there. That could have all just been one Mickey. I thought it was going to be something cool. Like when they said, we're going to increase the number of Mickeys that die. We're going to get to see him die in all these cool and interesting ways. We don't. We get to see like 2 of his deaths in the beginning, the whole vaccine thing, and then whatever happens to either Mickey 17 or 18 in this movie. I'm not going to spoil that much. But overall, I thought the movie was fine. I thought that, yeah, they put way too much money in it. Maybe Bong Joon Ho, even though I like what he did in his previous film, he got a little too much leeway just because he won an Oscar. I mean, they got to start. I think he had Final Cut and they wanted to go a different cut and he wanted to go with this one. It just, to me, the ending, it was all a little anticlimactic. The story was fine. Too much money was spent on it. And I don't know necessarily that this will be a movie that is remembered. It may get a cult following, and there's a sequel to the book, but I think after this movie bombing, we're not going to see that sequel in movie format. In terms of the score, I'll probably give Mickey 17 a solid 6 out of 10. It's it's definitely something you could wait to watch on Blu-ray or streaming or something like that. I'd like to thank you guys again for joining me for this movie review. You can find the full review on YouTube and the website, flipfrogllc.com/flixfrog. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit. And please, pretty please, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.